Fujitora
I don't want to take notes.
Lucas.
versus Ghostie, Old Garp, um, and then Judd is me and Tyler.
Wait, Ghosty, what skin did you need?
You have to fight for Garp, like the full fight for Garp versus Okiji.
All right, tell me when it started to record, and then I'll.
Pakistani and overtalked you. Oh, you
Garp versus
All right, start.
Okiji.
You got
Start.
to start.
All right, cool. Yeah. I'll go first if you don't mind.
No,
Garp,
Lucas, back.
You said what?
Lucas just said step back.
I'm back. Okay. Wait,
Put the little gifts in there, bro.
You messed up the announcement, bro. Ghosty and Ghosty.
It's fine.
Ghosty. This is not funny, bro. At least you're taking pity on it. Yo, what the? Wait. Okay, yeah, now good luck.
Okay, Ghosty, who you want to start? Me or you?
No, yeah, I want to start.
Alright.
Okay, I'll write this down for you just in case it's too hard, but I'm gonna go state the premium season and conclusion all together, in one swoop, if that's okay. But if you ever just need me to write it down and repeat myself, I don't have a problem doing that.
No problem.
Okay, essentially, Garp possesses hockey mastery or exceptional hockey mastery, exceptional strength, exceptional speed, especially in worst of one-on-one combat, specifically for one-on-one combat, right? Not some overall thing, you know what I mean? And then Fujitora, I guess I could agree he's powerful, right? But he doesn't have, I don't think so. He doesn't have the demonstrated feats to match Garp's raw physicals, his strength, his hockey mastery, etc. So I think based off those two premises, it'd be more probable that we can conclude that old Garp is stronger than Fujitora in one-on-one combat.
Okay, so I'll ask you this question. Why is the lack of feats of Fujitora gonna build probability that Fujitora isn't capable of replicating Garp's feats or scaling to or beyond Garp's feats? For example, it can be equally as likely that Fujitora does just so happen to be stronger than Garp if your basis against that is just that he doesn't have the lack of feats to where, what's it called? I mean, I have my own scaling for I think it's more likely that Fujitora is stronger than Garp, right? But even if there was no scaling for Fujitora being stronger than old Garp, it would be equally as likely that he is capable of being stronger than Garp than him not being, just because he hasn't shown of what he can do. How's it circular?
You just said.
Wait, to be clear. Okay, let me stop this. Alright, I'm back. Okay.
Can you say what you're trying to say in one sentence?
Yeah, my bad, because I was looking at it. It's not circular because I'm not appealing to my scaling to refute yours. I'm just saying that I'm just asking how your thing builds probability, because it could be equally as likely that Fujitora just so happens to actually have the power that's above old Garp, as it is that he doesn't have the power that's above old Garp that's equal.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just that you're basically making it. My bad, go on.
So I'm going based off demonstrated and shown feats. If once again, I guess what you're trying to say is, even though these have these feats, it's still likely based off the feats he has that he can perform at this level. While I wouldn't need you to show all that, I still don't think that would be adequate defeater, right? Because if I'm showing my character's objective feats that I substantiate in my premise that he's exceptionally strong, hockey mastery, etc., and your character hasn't been shown to have those feats. Or I won't make that claim. Or I will make that claim. I don't think he's been shown to have those feats. But on top of that, I don't think we can unless we have some reasoning or indication or implication that his feats will even be comparable to Garp's mastery, his strength and speed, would be something that you would need to go down that path, right? You would need to prove or show as to why. Even if he does, I'm pretty sure you're saying even if he doesn't have these feats, it's likely that he could still compete at that level. Right, so you'd have to show the feats he have and then go based off those feats and then indicate or use those feats to indicate why he would be on that level.
Okay. Well, my point is I'm asking why what you just said is a probability increaser, right? Why is
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Let me just finish my response.
No, so go ahead, buddy.
Why is it the case that Garp having better feats, called? Because I can agree Garp is generally strong, but why is him having better feats than Fujitora going to raise probability on him being stronger? I would call that an argument from ignorance, because an argument from ignorance is just what's it called? Making a likely argument or making some kind of like argument based on like limited knowledge, right? So we don't have the knowledge of Fujitora having feats that surpass or equate to Garp's. You're then using that to say it's likely that he's just weaker. Well, again, that's just an argument for ignorance because we're going off what we don't know, which in this case is Fujitora's power.
Okay. Yeah, so once again, I'm not saying that I'm saying it's not like the fact that he lacks his power, it's the lack of feats, right? And this is a simple, like an inductive argument. It's more probable that the character with more feats will beat the character in those regards, which once again, these are like the standard combat regards, right? These are nothing specific like Conqueror, Sakura Mastery, etc. These are the most common regards in One Piece. Speed, strength, hockey. Those all hockey above all, by the way. I want to emphasize that right now. Hockey mastery in One Piece is consistently projected to be the end all be all for one-on-one combat, right? But the fact is that I think Garp having these feats is a probability raiser. I'm pretty sure you said that right. Yeah, Garp having these feats has a probability raiser because let's say for example, if me and you wanted to race, right? I beat Usain Bolt. I have the world record, and you have no feats. People would think, or it would be more probable that okay, yeah, the guy with more feats, the guy with more indication, is likely to win.
Okay, the problem is right that I mean that.
Wait. Hold up. All right. Yeah. So once again with that, I don't know if you think I'm not like conclusively like I'm not saying that's objective. I'm just saying based off that it's more likely.
I'm just okay. What's it called? I'm just making likelihood, but my point is that well, for one, I'd like you to prove the induction that in One Piece people that have more feats typically tend to be the stronger ones. Second of all, I think that analogy just is again going circular on the not going circular, but I think it's just begging a question on why in which that would actually what's it called build likelihood. Like okay, you're saying that because someone has their feats of like beating Usain Bolt and whatnot. If there's a guy who's unknown, right? We don't know anything about him. Why is it that just having these feats is going to build probability? Because from we know it, right? We have no evidence that leans towards the fact that he would either A, be able to replicate these feats and surpass them, or B, the fact that he wouldn't and he would go below them, right? We have no evidence that's leaning towards one. All we know is he hasn't shown any feats in the first place for us to gauge. So I think that analogy just doesn't really function because it doesn't actually provide an answer to my question. And again, I won't prove that induction you said earlier.
Yeah, I proved that induction, but I don't know if I'm like being confusing or not. Let me know. If once again you need to re-say what I'm saying, right? But I'm not saying because Garp has better feats, he is above. Or yeah, I'm not objectively saying premise one, premise two, conclusion, right? This isn't a deductive argument. This isn't me saying if the premises follow, the conclusion must be true, right? I'm not saying Garp has more feats. Fujitora hasn't shown feats on this level, therefore Garp is stronger. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm saying Garp has shown to be on this. I won't even say feats. Garp has shown to compete at this level, right? And we wait. And we haven't seen Fujitora compete at this level. So based off those two, it is more likely that he would win. And I don't really think it's an appeal to ignorance because I'm not saying.
Go on.
But that's what the fallacy is called, right? Appeal to ignorance, or is it some shit?
Argument for ignorance.
Argument for ignorance. Yeah. Okay. Right, because I'm using genuine and actual Garp demonstrations. Like I'm using actual demonstrated actions of his abilities, and it's not like we haven't seen Fujitora do nothing, right? We've seen him do demonstrated actions that would be acceptable to put him at an admiral tier, right? We've seen him do actions, or we've seen his power, we've seen his ability, but we have not seen his ability and his actions work at that level, right? So I'm not saying because I'm not like using the fact that there's like an absence of evidence. I'm using the fact that since my character has not more evidence, but since my character has more abundant.
Okay.
What am I saying?
For
Yeah.
one,
Anyway, you got what I'm saying.
right? Yeah, I think that either way, it's going to be an argument from ignorance. Because the argument from ignorance, I know you're not making a necessity argument, you're just making a likelihood argument, but it's still going to be an argument, right? That you're making from ignorance. The ignorance at this point isn't the fact that both Garp and Fujitora have feats, right? But it's assuming, because obviously you're by your argument, you're implicitly saying that there's no direct connective scaling. It's just that Fujitora's feats, like we haven't seen the limit of Fujitora's power. It's just that we haven't seen feats from Fujitora that actually get him to or above Garp's level. But that's where lies the problem. The problem is that we're going to assume that the limit of Fujitora's power is below Garp just because feats that don't show the limit of Fujitora's power don't actually get the Garp's level or beyond. That's the point. That's like it's equally as likely, right? He
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
capable of surpassing those feats or not. That's what we have to assume for the argument to work, which comes from ignorance, a point of ignorance.
Okay, yeah, I understand that, right? But that's also that's presupposing that we're talking about him at his limit, right? I'm taking from the Fujitora we see up to the most recent chapter to the old Garp we see from the most recent chapter, right? We take those two characters, we dissect their feats, we see which one has more feats, or it's not more feats. We see which one has better feats that fall under that range of what is it? That range of one-on-one combat, right? Strength, speed, Haku mastery. We compare their feats and we see which one has the more better feats, the more or blatant feats, right? And I'm not saying okay, if we were doing a limit, I'd probably use Prime and Garp, right? But I'm not going based off the limit, right? I'm going based off the most canon and the most recent version of the character. So we take that, and I don't. It's not really. I get what you're saying, how it's an argument from ignorance, right? But it's not. How do I explain this? Okay, basically, right? We have. I'm saying that Garp having these feats, or showing the feats of having speed, strength, hockey mastery, and we look for Fujitora's feats. I'm not really saying he doesn't. As a matter of fact, no, obviously he has those feats, right? He has feats of that nature. He has combat feats, speed feats, and hockey's feats. I guess I'll give you that. I don't care. But he doesn't have it on that level, or we haven't seen it on that level, right? So, and we do this anyway, right? I mean, at least we. Sorry, not wow. Unless we want to rat, I mean, to say that we don't look at the character's feats and decide which one has better feats, right? Because if any case, then I would just do the same exact thing for you. Because I'm attempting, you're probably gonna attempt to be like, oh, Fujitora, this, and that. And I would literally just say, okay, wow. This is assuming that Garp hasn't done these yet, so why would we use that, right? It's not an argument from ignorance. It's literally just, unless you think an inductive argument is inherently an argument for ignorance, and I guess we can get in that, but that's just a simple
Well, for one, you're
P1, P2, so.
for one, right? You're not really. I mean, for the one inductive argument they made, which is that typically like characters with abilities and abilities are stronger. I already asked you to prove that. Second,
Wait, no. This is a whole inductive argument.
Oh, well, this is another argument you're using. Okay, well, I
No,
know
the original premise, one, premise two, and conclusion. That's an entire inductive argument.
how's
But the
that?
claim I made.
Wait, how's that an inductive to say that because Garp has better feats? What's it called? You know what an inductive argument is, right? Inductive argument is what's it called? Making a conclusion based on repeated observations. Like
Yeah. So if we observe Garp's feats and we observe the quality of Garp's feet and we observe the quality of Fujitora's feats, it's likely that I'm saying it's likely that based off those two observations that old Garp will win.
No, but I'm saying there's not like a pattern of observations. For example, a pattern of observations that goes into an inductive argument would be, for example, if like 10 chickens come out of a barn, right? And you know there's another animal that's about to come out. Most likely it's going to be a chicken because you have no reason to believe another animal will come out, but you know that chickens have come out like 10 times already, right? But my point is that what's it called? Here, all we're saying is that, okay, Garp has better feats, right? But there's no consistency to connect him to Fujitora at full power. It's just that Fujitora has not been able to demonstrate the peak of his feats, right? So from what he has like limited to demonstrate, it's worse than Garp in terms of feats. And that's again where my problem with that being an argument.
Yeah, I don't really. Okay. I don't.
I'm not done.
Go ahead,
That's
buddy.
where
Go ahead, buddy.
the problem with the argument from ignorance comes on, right? It's like, okay, so basically, simply put, what makes it more likely that Fujitora isn't capable of replicating and surpassing Garp's feats, right? Nothing really does so. Like the fact that Fujitora hasn't done that doesn't give likelihood. You haven't really given a reason why it gives likelihood.
Okay. You done?
Because you're still in the end of the day, like no matter how much better Garp's feet seem, right? It just doesn't actually what's it called? I mean, yeah, I'm done. I don't
Yeah.
want to do.
So yeah, unless you could somehow prove that, because I'm assuming I don't think you agree. I'm assuming you agree. Unless you can prove right that the quality of Fujitora, because at this point, right, I'm just putting them in two different levels, right? I'm saying Garp is here in these two categories, in these four categories, and Fujitora is here based off the feats, right? So if we haven't up until the most current chapter seen Fujitora compete on that level, well, once again, I'm saying that's a level difference, right? It's not some like itty bitty difference. It's a level difference. So if we haven't seen Fujitora compete at that level yet, what do you would have to prove or show any reason as to why he could randomly compete at such that high quality level, right? You have shown these feats before, which is what you're saying, but we're not saying that's a limit, right? You'd have to show off the feats he has. I said this previously. You have to show off the feats he has why he could, like in a one-on-one combat with Garp, he could replicate Garp's
Wait,
feats.
okay. My problem is that, well, again, I can go into my scaling soon because I think we're kind of going like circular, so we can move on. But I will just say this: the whole point is that I just don't. I fail to see why like Garp having better feats is going to establish likelihood that Fujitora can't do these feats. That's why I'm addressing right now. Obviously, I
Because I'm
think
saying,
Fujitora. I'm not using feats, by the way. I'm not going to use a feat when I get into my scaling. At least to directly prove Fujitora over Garp. But yeah, I can agree Garp has better feats. It's just that there's nothing connective here to say like, oh, what's it called? Oh, there's like a connective scaling that like Garp beats somebody that's like equal or above
okay, I have a
Fujitora.
question.
It's just feats that like don't actually
I have a
provide a
question. I have a
solution to
question.
them. It's just that
If I objectively have better feats than you up until this day, and we fight, what is indicative or what is more likely who will win? The person. I'm not saying Fujitora has zero feats. He obviously has feats in those four categories, but his feats aren't on a level of my character's feats, which is the whole thing I'm saying,
to
right?
answer
So
your
I'm not.
question. To answer
Go
your
ahead, buddy.
question, like if I knew about two fighters, right, and one had feats, but the other had no feats at all, I would say in my head, right, in my perspective, with the knowledge that I have, it's equally as likely that the guy with no feats wins or that he loses. The reason is, and this is a problem with the Fujitora and Garp, is that none of the guy's feats connect onto the guy. For example, let's say I beat up like Mike Tyson, right, and Jake Paul. I don't know why I put those two in the same sentence, but let's say I beat those two guys up, right? But there's this other like huge challenger that has never fought anyone before. I can't say, oh, I beat Mike Tyson, so I beat this guy, because we have no idea how that guy versus Mike Tyson would go.
Okay, once
All
again,
we
you're
see,
using this in a deductive way, though, right? I'm saying it's more likely. I'm not saying because he beats them, he beats them. You're using this in a
no,
deductive
I'm
way. I'm
saying,
not saying that.
no, I understand you're making likelihood argument. I'm saying even for a likelihood argument, right? We have no reason that any of this stuff is likely. We have no reason that's likely that the
Yeah, I
unknown
think.
challenger. Wait. We have no reason to say why it'd be likely that the unknown challenger, in this case, the one with the less feats being Fujitora on Garb, right, would be unable to replicate those feats or even go beyond those feats, right? There's nothing
Okay, yeah, I
saying
already
there's no
explained that, buddy.
connection. Okay, then we can just move on, and then I can.
Yeah, unless you have like. Okay, right. So you're claiming. Wait, repeat that one more time. Like the last sentence. I make sure to miss like some implicit clean there.
No, I'm just saying that I don't because there's no connection, direct connection with the feats, right? There's no reason why it wouldn't be what's it called? There's no reason why it would be more likely that Fujitora wouldn't be capable of replicating those feats because there's no actual feats
Yeah,
that
I gave the
actually make it.
likelihood. He wouldn't
We
be able to
haven't really,
replicate those feats because the feats he has now, have never been shown to go in that level. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, but you haven't really like, that's fine. You haven't substantiated why that'd be likely to increasing, but we're just gonna like go in circles about that.
So do you want to substantiate it or no?
I'll substantiate why I think Fujitora is more likely to be stronger
Wait,
than
so
Garp.
I don't know. Do you substantiate my or
No,
no? Like,
we've already gone that song and dance. Sorry, if I asked you this question at the beginning of the debate, we talked about it. We don't need to like repeat ourselves. I'll just move on past it.
um, what? Let me look at these real quick. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. You can go on with yours, but like, I don't want to like completely close this point off. If something you say would cause us to go back to this point, I feel like we should obviously go back.
Okay, one sec. Let me just get the scan from my scaling.
Wait, you did agree that he has feats on that level? I feel like you definitely said that.
No, I said that I think Garp has better feats than Fujitora. That's fine. Because again, I'm not even gonna
Okay,
use
but if it's, I want to be specific here.
Wait, hold up,
Feats
hold up,
in
hold up,
the
wait. One sec, one sec, one sec. What were you saying before, by the way, about going back something?
yeah, I said I don't want to close this point off completely, right? Because if some when we're going down your scaling, somewhere along the line, if fact scaling falls back to this point, I would like to obviously discuss this point again. Like I don't want to just
But
like close this point off.
no, we're not gonna, what's it called? I don't know what you mean by that. Like, we're not gonna touch on this
If
scaling. Like, the whole point was
if
we argue
okay, all right, okay,
independently.
yeah, sure, I guess, bro. I don't, yeah, I don't
We
feel bad
argue,
about this.
we argue independently from that. Okay, so let me just I have my scan. I'm gonna send it in the chat now. So, okay. So as you can see, what's it called? This statement says that the Navy's top three commanders are the three admirals, right? So saying that they're the top three commanders, and by like what's it called? I believe this statement is just saying that obviously Fujitora is an admiral, right? Garp is not. So for Fujitora to be one of the top three in the Navy, right? And for all the admirals to be top three in the Navy, just means the admirals over everyone else in the Navy.
Okay, so you're saying because Fujitora is admiral, he must be over guard.
Yeah, just based on the statement and what it says, yeah.
Yeah, okay, give me a second, buddy. Just a quick question now. If you agree that Garp has better fees, what do you, if we do accept this as true, how do you plan on getting, like substantiating the statement? Like, how would you show, or like, give any reason as to why this would be true? Because
So
once again, if you just agree he has no fees, I don't see how this would be true.
my point is that I don't like the feats are in question are connective, right? And that goes again. We're not gonna argue about this again, but I'm just gonna restate my argument from last time. I mean, counter from last time. We were talking about your scale. None of those feats make it more or less likely that Fujitora can't replicate them, and it's not as direct either way, right? It's not direct scaling that shows more um, directly. Like this is a direct
Okay.
statement comparing Fujitora and Admiral over people that aren't admirals, which in this case would be Garp. He's a vice admiral, right? That's not as direct as okay, Garp,
Yeah.
let's say beats up someone on a level that Fujitora hasn't beaten up, right? At the same time, Fujitora hasn't directly shown, he hasn't directly proven through getting to a fight that what's it called? He wouldn't be capable of contending or
Yeah, I kind
surpassing.
of like the whole point of the inductive, because obviously we don't have a concrete
Yeah.
inverse scaling. But that's what I'm saying. That's what the whole point of the inductive. We would see which is more likely. But like, yeah, I guess we don't have to go down that again. Okay. I got you. Give me a second. I got some scans for you, buddy. Let me translate this myself to make sure this is correct.
Are you trying to find like a way to contend the scan? I'm confused.
No, I'm translating this scan.
Are you translating the scan?
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay, it's whatever. Um, let's send these buddies. What is this? Punk Records? Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, so one, I don't know if you just didn't read, but it's chill. There's reasoning as to why Garp isn't an admiral, right? It's shown in the story that he refused to accept it. He's been offered it many times, right? As we see here, I don't need any higher position than this to do things the way I like. That is him. That's after Kuzan said, "Garp's son, did you refuse another promotion?" Which he did, and he's saying he refused it because he wants to be free, and he Shingoku says Garp's moral code doesn't permit him to fulfill that duty. In fact, the reason Garp continually refused the rank of admiral is because becoming one was place him squarely under the thumb of the celestial dragons, right? So the reason Garp didn't, or specifically, or like persistently kept refusing his rank of admiral is because he was scared of the power level or anything like that. He only refused it because one, it went against his moral code, and two, he liked the freeness. And if we're also going like based off this quote unquote objective scaling within the Navy, or like this the objective connective, I can. Oh, I didn't. I'm silly. I didn't send a translation I got from the server. If you have a problem with this translation, I guess you could talk about it. I don't really see none, but let me get that real quick. But essentially, I'm pretty sure. Let me read this verbatim, matter of fact. Essentially, though. Yeah, okay, I'll just say that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
the problem with that counter.
Wait. I'm missing the translation. There you go. Alright, yeah, here's the translation. And if we're going off that like objective Navy scaling,
Well, what's the problem with the translation? Could you just define that clearly?
well, I didn't say there was a problem with it. I didn't know if you.
Like,
I was
is
asked,
that
do you have a problem with this?
is what? I don't even see another translation.
I sent this. I didn't send the translation originally. I'm saying like for the Viva Guard. Do you have a problem with that translation?
My bad. You mean the fact that like Garp is like given the position of Navy, but I mean Admiral, but he declines it. Is that what you're trying to like? Is that what these scans are for?
Yeah. I said that. I'm
Okay.
gonna say something else with the Viva Guard.
Is the Viva card just to reinforce the same thing that he like can become an Admiral? But he
No,
just
I mean it's not. It's like to put him above, like the Admiral, basically, an Admiral rank essentially.
wait. How does it put him above an Admiral?
Right. Okay. Obviously, there's no position in the Navy that's like. I mean, there is Fleet Admiral, but there's no genuine position other than Fleet Admiral like that's above admirals in the Navy, right? But it says in the Viva card that Garp is one of the two. What does it say? Verbatim. I want to read this verbatim. I don't want to say this. Yeah, he's known throughout all the pirates as a hero of Marines, and also his accomplishments throughout the years are what lets him instill fear in all pirates all over the world, even today. So it's basically saying like even because admirals obviously this at this time the admirals exist at this time, but Garp is one of the only people who like genuinely instill fear into pirates all around the world, which is basically what this is saying.
Okay, so arguments. Okay, so I'm gonna respond to both arguments, right? So
Go ahead, buddy.
So the first argument is that Garp doesn't want to be an admiral. However, the problem is that the statement isn't just saying like, oh, the admirals are like the strongest rank. It's just saying that the top three, like the admirals as they are currently, are just the strongest people in the Navy, right? Even if Garp is at the level where he can become an admiral, that doesn't mean he'd automatically be stronger than Fujitora. For example, let's just say they decided to also promote Garp to an admiral, right? Let's say Green Bull died and he became an admiral in his place, right? It would just be the case off the statement that he would just be a weaker admiral than Fujitora and Kizaru, because the problem is the statement isn't just saying like, oh, the admiral rank is a superior rank, right? It's just saying that those that happen to be the admirals right now are just the top three in the Navy. Now, for the second contention you gave about, oh, Garp instilling fear into pirates, well, for one, that's contextualized in the viewer card to him battling with Roger, which is Prime Garp. And second of all, right, it could just be the case that Fujitora doesn't have as much publicly known feats, right? We agree that he doesn't have as good feats as Garp, but then that's gonna, go into the problem that I had, right? I'm not gonna like repeat that argument, right? Because it's gonna be contingent on whether or not I won contesting to your scaling, right? But assuming that goes through, it's going to be the same problem here, wherein the pirates can be more scared of Garp because he has a better assortment of feats, but that doesn't actually give connective scaling. But even if I lost that, I don't think the scan would matter anyway, because some of the feats in question here are performed by Garp in his prime, like, beating up Roger. Not beating up Roger, but contesting with Roger.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe like a little clean just chat the video that actually. But yeah, I wanna focus on the first point more so. So are you saying because you're saying even if he was an admiral, he'd be a weaker admiral based off the statement. I'm pretty sure you said the statement said Fujitora is a top 2 admiral or some shit like that.
It just says that the admirals are the top 3 in the Navy right now.
Right. Okay. So then, if Garp becomes the admiral, would he not be also top 3 in the Navy? I didn't really quite.
No, because it's not contextualizing that to the position. It's just saying that the people who are admirals right now are the strongest. Like theoretically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So the people who were admirals when Garp was a vice admiral, right? the Navy deemed fit to put not saying no. The Navy deemed fit to put Garp above or replace one of them, right? So even if we go along with your scaling, there's no reason that we like suggest any strength difference between three admirals, right? Because if Garp becomes an admiral at the time, then by your own skin, right, he'd be top three in the Navy, which defeats the whole
No, 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 no,
hierarchy
no,
thing.
no, no, no. I'm not. I'm just saying in a hypothetical, right? And I even say the hypothetical involved them like saying that, like, let's say Green Bull was 2 weeks, so they booted him out and replaced him with Garp. I said like, oh, if they decided to have like Green Bull died, for example. I'm just saying that hypothetical, Garp would just be a weaker admiral because the statement isn't saying that the admirals are expected to be the top three in the Navy because of their rank. It's just saying that the three people that are currently the admirals are just so happen to be the strongest in the Navy. For Garp,
Oh,
right? It's
wait, are
not
you
about
saying? Are you wait? Are you saying that at that time? Let me look at your scan. Hold up. La 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 la. Top three
because
commanders, and this can be political influence since
wait,
Goku has
just
the
to be
higher
clear, are you
rank.
trying to argue that just be clear, because I might have like mistracked this. When you say that they were trying to make Garp an admiral, are you trying to argue that they seemed Garp as stronger than any one of the current three admirals, which
Yeah,
is why
they were actively giving him promotion. They were trying to give him promotion. It
wait,
wasn't
okay,
like he was trying to get replaced.
for one, we don't know if any of those promotions were like during the time where Akai knew Kuzan, Kizaru, Fuji, and Greenbull reigned as an admiral, right? We don't know. We know, for example, some like they were happening when he was like in his prime, but we don't know if they were happening while the other guys were admirals. Second of all, what's it called? It could just be the case that they were gonna open up a slot for have a fourth admiral, and that would have been Garp. We don't know if
Holy
it.
shit! Yeah, no, okay, yeah. No. I'm gonna just substantiate that. Like you just, yeah, substantiate that. That's why that would be likely. Like,
I
because
don't.
we've never seen,
I'm not even.
we've
I'm not
never.
even. It was.
You're affirming that to be like a case,
I'm
right?
not even
We've never
affirming it.
seen some shit like that. We haven't seen some shit like that happen in One Piece. I don't know why we're like randomly be applied to this position. You're just making shitty ass like what ifs
Can
without substantiating any of them.
you please just shut up for 1 second? I'm not like respectfully, my bad. I don't mean to be rude, but the point is that you're kind of like you're not getting it. I'm not affirming it to be likely the case that that they would like open up for admiral's position instead of just deeming like instead of confining it to three admirals and just deeming Garp stronger. I'm just saying that you're using this as a counter, right? That what's it called? A counter to my scan is like, oh, they want Garp to be an admiral, so they see him as like stronger than one of the current three. I'm saying though, right? We have no reason to believe that that's more likely than the possibility that they were just going to keep Garp as a fourth admiral and that they still see him as weaker than the other three. So I just want likelihood for why they would do what you're saying instead of what I'm saying.
Wait, no, I want likelihood for no. I want you to give your likelihood as to why they're giving you a fourth admiral. Because
I
I'm like
don't
once
need to,
again,
well, I don't need to, but if you still feel like I need to, that's
I'm
fine.
wait. Why don't you need to? Because are you gonna say you're taking negation to my claim?
I'm not on the affirmative. I'm skepticizing. What's it called?
Okay,
Your
let me
story.
tell you this. I don't know. I don't know if Nani's your teacher, right? But if you're not on an affirmative, yet you still make an affirmative claim, I could then go ask you to
I
once
didn't make
again
an
prove that
affirmative.
affirmative claim.
I didn't
Yes,
make
you
an
are.
affirmative.
Are you not saying that it's more likely that it was just a fourth admiral position?
No, I didn't say that's more likely. I'm just saying that we have
Oh
no
my
more reason to
god.
believe what you're saying than that other alternate interpretation, which is what I just gave.
Yeah. Okay. You're just one. You're just babbling. You're just giving shitty ass what ifs without no substantiation. And two, I can just repeat what I said. I guess you can repeat what you said. Unless you have any more scaling, I guess we can end that there. This is just like silly at this point. Um, You gave the refutation that said, okay, within the Navy hierarchy, Admiral is above Vice Admiral. Top three admirals are strongest in the Navy, therefore, Fujitora being an admiral would be stronger than Garp. I said, okay, Garp had the power of an admiral. I can even argue he's above an admiral, but Garp had the power of an admiral with the Navy scene, but they gave him constant promotion. This wasn't just a single one-off thing, right? So Sengoku, the Navy, whoever you want to say, they noticed the power that Garp had, right? That means his power was applicate or could be applied to the admiral position. Therefore, Garp's power, even though his rank doesn't reflect it, Garp's power is still on, if not above the admiral level, right? Until I use the whole pirate shit. The whole him that doesn't matter, right? Him only getting that the hero of the Marines this or that against Roger era that doesn't really invalidate it. Yeah, I know I'm using old Garp, right? But I don't think there's some crazy substantial difference to where because people to this day still fear, or people to like and yeah, in One Piece to this day still fear Garp's name just like they did back then, right? It's not like the reputation died down because he was weakened. We see this within the fight where he fights Akainu. And also Trouble, if you could Could you are you here, Trouble? Or is she not in the VC?
Yo, I'm here, bro.
Yo, could you give me the fight of um Garp versus Kainu, please?
They never fought
Kiji?
Oh yeah, Kid, my bad. Yeah, you're right.
the whole fight.
Uh,
Or like them just like
I mean,
fighting.
if you can, like, whatever you can is fine. Whatever you can get is fine. I'm not bit like,
I mean, would you guys take the anime? Like it kind of just does it.
yeah, sure, I'll take the anime. I mean, unless you wouldn't.
I'm fine with the anime.
All right, just looking sketch card. I'll just get the clip.
Okay, wait. Are you trying to? Because I just want to progress this debate. Like, are you trying to argue that Garp outscales Kuzan based on the fight and that Kuzan's over Fujitora?
Nah, right.
What are
So
you trying?
previously, wait, yeah, I'm gonna explain it. Previously, before this fight, obviously, Kuzan was an admiral. Whether I mean we can get into the fight, I think he probably got stronger. Yeah. Actually, no, I would argue he was then. I think he progressed after he left the Navy. But either way, he was at baseline admiral level. And old Garp, I think, had the upper hand. It was going to beat the nigga. All right, so whatever you want to say, Garp is equal to that level via the feats
Okay,
I'm going to
well,
show. And you already agreed that Garp has greater feats than Fujitora. So if
wait,
Garp
you know what?
is equal,
Wait, one sec. I can even
he's
agree
kind of
right
cutting me
now.
off.
No, because again, I'm trying to progress this fucking debate, and I've heard this argument like 100 times. I can
Yeah, sure,
agree.
buddy.
I can agree that in the fight, Garp like did better than Aokiji. But my question to you is now going to be this: can you prove that Aokiji wasn't mentally nerfed? Because we have a basis for that, right?
You assuming Garp wasn't mentally nerfed?
I'm saying, well, we have no reason to believe that he's mentally nerfed. I'll tell you that
What
much.
reason we have to believe Aokiji mentally nerfed?
Well, we have a basis for that in the one sec. I'm getting pinged.
Yeah, take your time, buddy.
Okay, Haram does say that he has to go like really soon. Like, we can honestly, we've already done like enough. I mean, you're trying to bring forth a new argument with this PG bullshit, but do you want to just like end off the debate based on what we have? Because we've already went
I
through mass
mean,
scale.
I want to include this. I want to include this in my evidence. I don't want to like.
Oh my fucking god. I mean, like Haram really has to go.
You know what? Sure. Okay. Yeah, I agree. He's mentally nerfed, right? But not only was weakened physically, weakened on top of him being old, right? So we can say that's a double nerf or whatever you want to say.
No,
Athletically
listen,
weakened.
like, listen.
Don't, yeah, listen. Hey, don't cut me up. Don't
I
cut me
don't
up. Don't
care
cut me up.
because we're
But
not using this argument. The whole point was that we're not going to use this
holy
fucking
shit.
PG bullshit.
Who's we, nigga? I'm not agreeing to that bullshit. Fuck him. If he wants to go, he can go. I'm going to go through my argument, buddy. I'm not going to do this just because you don't want to quote unquote prolong the debate. That's what a
Don't get
fucking
mad.
debate is, retard.
Don't get mad if our Haram has to go and then what he sends us doesn't include this shit.
Okay, yo Haram. Can you be here for the next 15 minutes, maybe? Because I guess Lucas is acting like the words, but a fucking and you have to go walk your dog or some shit.
Yeah, you don't need 15 more minutes for like 5 minutes.
I can't
All right,
continue.
okay.
Say yes, bro. Say yes.
Listen,
Okay, I'm going to no. Whenever he leaves, but I'm going to continue with my point. I'm going to continue with the scaling. I'm not going to drop it for the sake of Karam
you
leaving.
know,
If he leaves, bruh.
okay, fine, just continue.
Just a
So we go on.
warning,
Okay.
by the way. Just a warning.
No, thank you, Ram. Thank you, Ram Sponsor. Thank you.
No, it's fine. I just want to give a warning. You don't
Go
have
ahead.
to heed this warning and take it, but I just want to give it. So, if you think you win this next point and it's not on recording, if you want this to be judged so you can get something on the card, for example, you will not be able to do that if I'm not here and I'm the only person with OBS and I'm the only person who can record as of the current moment. So that would be the problem.
Yo, is my mic bad?
No, it's good.
All right, it's good like this. Okay, I'll record myself. It's just for you.
Are you recording
All right.
yourself?
No, yeah, I just record off my phone or some shit.
All right. Well, yeah. As long as you understand what Haram just said, right? Then I'm fine.
Yeah.
I want you to
Yeah,
understand.
okay.
All right,
Yeah.
well, are you trying
Yeah,
to
continue.
argue
That's what I'm saying.
One sec.
Yeah, even if I were to grant the fact that he was mentally nerfed, why not think Garp was also mentally nerfed, if not more mentally nerfed, right? Because his student, he's fighting his student, his first student as well. So there's some sentimental values to that. I probably couldn't find the guardbook statements showing that, or like they're demonstrating that, saying that, but that's neither here or there, right? But even if I were to assume and like agree to the fact that he's mentally nerfed, right? I think you have to show as to why him being mentally nerfed would be on much more levels of nerf than Garp not only being old, right? Because that inherently, with age, you decline physically, right? We reflect this and see this reflected within Garp's character. But also, we see that he gets jumped, and also, number two, that he gets stabbed by, I forget his name, but he gets stabbed, right? So at this point, it's a wound. It's a weakened wound, right? And Aokiji even noticed this. Like, oh yeah, other people also notice this. He's physically weakened, right? He has a big ass stab wound in the middle of the chest, yet he is still performing better or if not equal to Aokiji, right? So even if I agree or grant the fact that Aokiji was mentally nerfed, I don't think that would be like substantiate the bridge between mentally nerfed and physically nerfed also by being old as shit.
Okay, well, for one, don't bring up old age because you're doing old Garp. That's like old age isn't like a temporary nerf that doesn't apply to the full power. That would make sense if we were skilling Prime Garp or skilling old Garp. Second off, to address the other nerfs, right? Okay, so I'll steel man like Garp being mentally nerfed for now, even though I can give an argument as to why he's not. But I'll just say this first. Even if we grant like Garp being both mentally nerfed and physically, I'm fine with him being physically nerfed by the way because of like a stab wound and shit. But even if we grant him being both physically and mentally nerfed, the problem is that we have no likelihood towards the fact that these two nerfs are going to be greater than Aokiji's mentally nerfed, right? Unless you were to make an argument that what's it called, Garp and Aokiji would be mentally nerfed by the same amount, which I don't know how you would give a likelihood for or prove, right? I'm saying that.
Okay. I get you, buddy.
Yeah, it can be equally as likely that Aokiji's mentally nerfed just hampers him to the same degree as a conjunction of Garp's two nerfs. Because we have no basis. We have no
Yeah, I'll give you a quick little argument, just a good likelihood, okay, buddy? So, what premise one is when humans get mortal wounds, right? I guess we could say with mortal wound. Well, mortal wound equals your physical drops, right? Could you agree to that? Like if you get hurt mortally, like physically, now you're like hurt, your nerve, you're weakened, correct?
Yeah.
It performed worse, right? I mean, if you really, yeah. Premise two, right? Garp got mortally wounded. In the conclusion, it's likely since he got mortally wounded that he's now. No, you agreed to the nerf. I'm John. Are you asking me to substantiate the nerf? Like how I think it's more likely that's why like a physical nerf would be more like holding back or more like it's just a mental nerf, right? Even if we do them and they're both mentally nerfs. Because I mean, unless you do, I don't think we both have any ways of quantifying how much are mentally nerfed. So at a baseline, we can agree that they're both just mentally nerfed, especially if we don't have no real ways of saying, yeah, no. Anyway, yeah, especially if we don't have any ways of quantifying how much they're mentally nerfed, but we can baseline both agree they're mentally nerfed. And I think even if that point's contentious, why I think a physical nerf would be way much more substantial than a mental nerf, right? Because under a mental nerf, you can still operate to your like, assuming you're physically okay. Under a mental nerf, you can still operate to your physical peak, like how you're operating now. It's probably at a lesser tone, but under a physical nerf, especially one that's Garp's, it's highly indicative, right? That since now you can't compete or perform at the level you were previously, that not only are you nerfed, but you're detrimentally harmed, right? So a physical nerf, I mean, if you was to get into the whole, I don't know if you want to get into that. I don't recommend that. But the whole physical versus mental thing, I think physically, right? And not being able to, even if he wanted to, even if he wasn't mentally nerfed, if he didn't want to, that means at that point physically he cannot return to his old ways, or physically he cannot return to how he was a few minutes ago, right? So I think that nerf is way much more substantial than me being mentally nerfed or Garp. I have to use that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, the problem is that
by the way,
the problem with
Good
this is
job.
going to hinge.
Wait, you said what, Tyler?
Holy fuck!
my bad for cutting you. I just said you guys should conclude soon. But go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, because we got
Wait, do you want it to be concluded, bro? Do you need conclusions?
Go,
Or like,
bro.
No,
Shut
hold
up.
on, hold
Let
on.
Lucas talk.
I need,
yeah, I'm trying to give Luke. I'm trying to see if this is his last argument. Since you want to end this, do we need conclusions, or can he say what he has to say?
Right now, where I'm not going to conclude because there's a lot of stuff you said that
Just
I
let Lucas
All right.
respond first, bro.
All right, bro. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, for one, I don't know if you're really trying to say this because I couldn't quite understand you, but if you're trying to say that just because we can't quantify Garp and Aokiji's like mental nerfs in respect to each other, that we should assume as a baseline that they're equal, I would like to see some substantiation for that. I just wouldn't quantify them relative to each other. And then secondly, about the physical nerf, you said that a mental nerf is going to allow you to operate at your physical, like closer to your physical peak relative than a physical nerf. I don't know why that would be the case. We don't have any reason to believe that a mental nerf, even though a physical nerf, like through getting a grave injury, will drop your physicals, right? I don't know why that's going to drop your physical performance, right, and your combative performance to a higher extent than a mental nerf. You just kind of said that without any substantiation, so that's all.
One, what I was doing is because you're the one who like tried to use that claim as a grounds for summing a nerf, the mental nerf. So right, I'm asking if you can't substantiate it, or I'm saying if you can't substantiate it and I can't substantiate it, but we can both agree that they're mentally nerfed without the substantiation, unless we both just want to drop the mentally nerfed thing, then baseline we would have to agree that they're at least equal. Or we could agree that there's no quantification, but if we agree that there's no quantification, then that's just as good as being no mental nerf, right? And secondly, though, only that the reason I came to that conclusion that like a physical nerf is way more detrimental than a mental nerf, because one, mental nerfs obviously fluctuate. Two, physically, you operate the same, just at a lower motor function, basically. You're physically operating the same, just not as aware or not as this, or that, depending on said mental nerve. But when you have a physical nerve, you physically, right, meaning you cannot literally, with your body, go back to the motor level you were previously competing at, right? So I think the what ifs or like the leeway for mental nerve is not as great as the leeway for a physical nerve, right? Because you literally cannot return in the battle unless you have regenerative abilities. You cannot return to the lesser or like the more dominant motor function you were performing at. So you're inherently going weaker, right? It's even stated once again in the panel in the manga. It's a weakened Garp at that point, and yet he was still showing relatively, or at least aboveness to Hujan.
Okay, so for one, right, this is all really I'm gonna contest this one because I think part of it's already been responded to. So why is it the fact that, like, to be clear, are you saying that a physical nerf or the mental nerf is the one that like competes on motor control? Just answer like which one.
Physical.
Okay, well, I mean, the physical does impede in your motor control, but I just don't know why that, right? Like, even though we know, like, all you're really doing is defining the way in which mental and physical nerfs work, but you're not really, like, proving or substantiating why one is going to be more relevant than the other. In this case, the way a physical nerf works, why that's going to be more relevant in terms of how it nerfs you in a fight, and how much it brings you down in terms of scaling than a mental nerf. So I think, we could just move on.
I already substantiated, but sure, yeah, we can move on. Or like, do you once again just want to like? I don't think we need
I mean, we're
conclusive.
done at this point, right? Let's do another fucking argument.
I don't have another fucking argument, retard ass nigga. Do you want to finish or do you want to conclude? Like, do you want to just like end it here? I don't know if they need conclusions. Tyler, do you want conclusions?
I mean, do you want to do conclusions? I'm fine.
I personally don't feel like doing conclusions.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We usually gotta do it.
All right, yeah. All right, so I'm still here.
Yeah, Haram, we can end the rec now.